What going on? It's your boy VI Guy here, and welcome back to another video on your boy channel. In this week's time trial, we're gonna go from the observatory over to Mackenzie Airfield. And the budget vehicle that I'm using for this first race is the Canis Camacho. Now the reason why I chose this vehicle is because it is a pretty good off-road vehicle and it performs well on-road as well. Now I'm just going to go ahead and say that I could have chosen the Bati 801 motorcycle because obviously all the videos online posted for completing this time trial are mostly done with that bike. But if you're anything like me and you played GTA, anything like me, sometimes you like to challenge yourself, and that's exactly what I did here. I decided to use this particular vehicle. And it was a challenge. I probably did this time trial close to 20 times just to make part-time, but I refuse to use that particular bike because, part of the reason why I started YouTubing is to give people other options. And if you decide to use this vehicle, even though it's my budget vehicle, it will be a challenge. So let me know in the comments down below if you were able to complete this time trial with this vehicle. I'd be very curious to know if anyone is able to pull it off. But with that being said, there's also a cool portion in this race that I did earlier that I managed to save the clip of, where I almost hit the train dead on right here as I go over the tracks. And I'm going to show you guys here in a second. But keynotes for this particular time trial is to take the route that I take. You're going to be on and off-road a lot. Right here, once this dune ends, I'm actually going to make a left and stay on the beach. You'll see that the route that I take with this vehicle is slightly different from the route that I take with the next vehicle. And that's because this handles off-road better. Another key tip for this particular time trial is when you get to the end, you're going to want to go straight through the fence. If you try to go around the fence and not damage the vehicles, you're gonna miss part time. You see, like I just cut straight through it. I gave up on trying to, be scratch free. Here's that clip I was telling you about. So the next vehicle I'm going to use for the, expensive run of this time trial is the Diablous Custom. Now, as the Diablous Custom isn't really that expensive on its own, it's like less than 50,000. It is a Benny's custom Diablous. So if you know Benny, he charges you an arm and a leg for any customization, and then if you, God forbid, scratch it, he, charges you like $1,000 to repair it. But either way, I decided to use this, again, veering away from the Bati 801, just to show you that it can be done with other vehicles. GTA has too many vehicles to be doing time trials with the same vehicle over and over. Again, I took mostly the same route. You'll see like instances like right here where I go a little bit to the right instead of, left with the Canis Camacho. And then you'll see in the end where I went on the beach. Instead, I stayed on the road using the bike. Only because the strength for a bike is actually, when you're going straight, you can either do wheelies or you can, push forward to put your head down for wing resistance. Either way, you're going to want to cut straight across the airfield the same. You're going to want to approach the tracks just the same. The only thing that I would tell you to look out for when doing these time trials with a bike is to watch out for those hidden rocks, those cactuses. See, like I just hit one right there. Too many cactuses will slow you down. It might not knock you off the bike necessarily, but it does slow you down. You want to watch out for cars, of course, because you can graze a car with a truck, but grazing it with a bike might actually hit you to the side and slow you down too much. Here is where I headed straight instead of making the left. And you want to go right underneath this sign between the two poles. I've seen some people go onto the sand dune right there and then come back on the road, but I was able to stay on the road. Now, in this particular part of the trial, you want to make sure that you keep left as long as you can because it is the quickest route. And then, again, through the fence. And just like that, I beat my original part time. So it was even harder this time around. This time trial is one of the hardest ones. Before I started recording them, I used to complete them. And I will say that this one has always been one of the hardest ones to complete. So that's going to be it for the time trial portion of this video. Now we're going to head on over to Vespucci Beach to do the Bandito Time Trial. I can see y'all in a little bit. So we just reached Vespucci Beach. As you can see, the sun is setting. The name of the time trial for the Bandito for this week is called Vespucci Beach, obviously. And the part time is 2 minutes and 5 seconds, which for an RC car, that is a long time. It's almost like an endurance race. Right out the gate, you can see some of my struggles, which are the lower or smaller objects that when walking around, typically you just walk right over it. But in this RC car, it's like a brick wall. So right out the gate, I can tell you what the challenges for this time trial are going to be. First off, you're going to have all the low, small objects like your little walls, your concrete barriers that surround the trees, bleachers, the trees themselves, even the grass patches, damn it. All that stuff's going to get in your way, and it's enough to slow you down. The second thing that's going to give you a hard time doing this time trial is goddamn pedestrians. They are everywhere on this beach. They are going to always be random, so you can't even really predict where they're going to be standing, and that's the hard part about it, is you can master a route, and on the run that you think you're going to get it, there'll be a group of people standing right in your way, and then, you'll fail. Like, look at these people. You're like, seriously, find someplace else to go talk. But once you can get around, once you can navigate around the people, and once you learn where those permanent structures are, because those aren't really hard. I mean, eventually, after doing 1 or 2 laps, you'll memorize where certain things sit. But the people, once you can manage to get around the people and stationary objects, I think you'll be able to complete this time trial. Now, obviously, I was not aiming for par here. I mean, well, I was, but I usually just do 1 lap just to test the waters and see how things go. And it was a rough first lap. I mean, I just ran over my bike, not knowing that the time trial was going to have me come all the way back to where I started. But as you can see, the timer had already started hitting the last 10 seconds. I don't know why it wasn't beeping. I had people join and leave this lobby, so things started to act a little funny. But that's the first lap. As you can see, it's daytime now, and I wanted to show you that I actually made some customizations to my Bandito, so it looks a little bit differently than last. But after a few laps through the night, finally I was able to record a decent run of me completing the time trial, and here you can see I slowed down plenty to make some of these turns. I almost actually didn't go as fast as I did on my first run, or at least my speed is probably recorded slower, but I was still able to make par because some of these crucial turns require you to slow down a lot. And you know what? Slowing down to hit a marker is actually better than blowing through it, because you might overshoot the next one. And I think messed up a couple of times doing this, and I was still able to make par. Because again, it's an endurance time trial. So as long as you can keep a steady pace throughout the whole thing, you'll be able to complete it. And that's exactly what I did here. You can see my tracks from my previous runs. Obviously, I started to memorize where some of the stationary obstacles were. And I just, kept an open mind when it came to pedestrians, because I understood that they were going to be all over the beach. One thing I did notice is at night, there are lesser pedestrians than there are during the day. So I don't know if you want to do it at night. And see, this is one of the areas where I messed up at. I don't know if you want to do it at night to decrease the amount of people that are going to be in your way, but either way, I made part-time during the day. I had actually called in another vehicle just so that I didn't have my bike sitting right in front of the path, and that avoided me hitting in there. And then, look at that car that wasn't there on my first few runs. All of a sudden, it just decided to show up. But as you can see, we're going to make part-time. That is actually going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you liked it, Please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, please subscribe, and I'm gonna check out you in the next video.